there are people around the league, and I'm not accusing Kevin Warren of this, but there are people around the league who would listen to that quote and say, is Kevin Warren trying to have it both ways here where, and there are folks in organizations that do this. When things are going well, I get part of the credit. When things are going poorly, he hired the coach, not me. and I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. But there's that suspicion from the hardcore football crowd, the general managers out there, that there's that kind of shapeshifter in the organization that can always avoid accountability because I'm not part of the football operation. Because I think this is a hire that everybody has to make. It has to run all the way up to ownership. Everybody has to feel good about this. I think this is a critical hire for the Bears because they need somebody that they can join at the hip with Caleb Williams and get the most out of that player over the next 10 years, Devin.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think it's important too, because who's going to make the ultimate decision if it doesn't go well? Like that's why it's so important that everybody be all in to this head coach that is going to come next. Because for one, when the head coach takes over, everyone zooms in and you're locked in on that introductory press conference. What's going to be said? We think about a couple of years ago, Dan Campbell gets out there and Dan Campbell starts talking about biting kneecaps off and everything. If right away the general manager brings in that head coach and the owner's not fully on board, when you hear that press conference, like that could push you one way or another of never really liking the head coach. Or like, so I think it is so important that everybody be involved in these meetings, everybody being part of the interview process of when you decide, hey, we're going to go with a guy. And I understand of somebody being Point and Ryan Poles being that, but I think it has to be a decision that everyone's all in so that if it doesn't work out, hey, I get it. As the Point person, I might not be here, but let's not just throw me under the bus. Let's all be involved in this so that we're thinking about being successful, not thinking about what happens if it doesn't work out, but just having a mindset of we're going to pick the leader of our franchise. We found the quarterback. We found the thing that everybody says is so hard to find. Now let's pair him up with the head coach that's going to bring us success. And I agree with you 100%. It has to be top down that is fully involved in on that, because if not, it just creates dysfunction, and it won't take long to see that dysfunction show up on the football field.
Ryan Poles said during yesterday's press conference the Bears haven't decided whether to use a search firm to find the next head coach. The big news last week was the Jets have retained the 33rd team, led by former Jets GM Mike Tannenbaum, to help them. I'm not a big believer in football operations using a search firm to do anything, because if you have in-house expertise, you know who the candidates are. You know who's out there. You should know. If you're really plugged in, if you really take it all very seriously, you don't need somebody else to tell you what to do, because that's what you end up hiring. Anytime you hire a search firm, you're abdicating your responsibility to someone else, and you're getting who they would hire. And it's usually their cronies, their friends, their family members, and definitely not the people they don't like subjectively. Might be a perfectly fine candidate, but the person who's got the keys to the search firm doesn't like that person, so they're never on the list. And that happens. So I would never do it. All due respect to all the search firms out there, I would never, ever do it. I would try to build the internal ability that I could go out and fill these jobs without somebody telling me what to do.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. The thing that I would say is, if you don't feel like you have the ability to put together a search firm right within your building, if you kind of feel like, hey, maybe they feel like even in our building, we're only going to be able to reach out and bring in the people we know and only friends and all those different things. I think then in that situation, getting a search firm, and I think the biggest thing of that search firm is find out who's a leader. Find out who are the people who can come in and lead my organization, not just the guy who's really good on offense or really good on defense of calling calls and different things like that, but finding the person who that when we bring them in, it's going to lead our organization. It's going to bring the right culture, because again, as we look at all the recent hires, Dan Campbell continues to stick out, and it's not because he's this great mind on offense or defense. It's because it seems like he's built a culture. He's done something that he's leading men the right way. And I think that's the thing. Whenever I look at these coaching hires of, do they end up with a guy who can lead a group of men. When you sit down in that team meeting and that guy comes in, do we feel right away like, man, I want to follow this guy? Do we see it day to day? So to me, if a search firm can help you narrow down who those people are, then shoot, go ahead and do it. But the best bet to me is, like you said, having the people in the building that can be your search firm. But you have to know, again, like we said, you got to be honest with yourself, and you have to know as a team and as an organization if you have that or if you don't have it.
And I agree with you. There's a middle ground there where you use the search firm to help you set the table, but you don't let their biases, prejudices, their likes, their dislikes, their network of family members and friends, and I owe this person a favor, or I want to have a voice, I want to have relevance. Usually it's a lot of retired general managers who just want to have relevance, so they know if I got this guy the job, he's going to take my call, and he's going to listen to me and maybe do some of the things I'm telling him to do. Okay. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.